Hi everyone, it's Nichol Spohr here today with an underwater mermaid scene card featuring both honeybee stamps and dies and Heffy Doodle stamps and dies. One of my very favorite things about card making is mixing and matching different manufacturers' stamps and dies to create truly one-of-a-kind designs. We are going to start with the Heffy Doodle stitched bubble background. I am masking off from the stitched line to the outer edge. This is going to give me an instant mask for my card. So instead of having to mat this on another piece of cardstock or trim it down and adhere it to another piece of cardstock, because this is an A2 sized die, I am instantly giving it the illusion of being matted on white cardstock, but it's all one layer. I have die cut this from smooth white cardstock, and I'm inking it up with a combination of Broken China, Mermaid Lagoon, and Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxide inks. If you're going to attempt to ink up your background with distress inks of some sort on smooth white cardstock, I would highly recommend Distress Oxides. They are going to be more forgiving. If you want or only have regular distress inks, I would suggest using a watercolor cardstock or a Bristol Smooth cardstock to do your inking and ink blending. You'll get much better results. That's kind of just the way I do it. You might have better results than me, but I tend to have a lot of trouble blending regular distress inks on just a traditional Nina Smooth White cardstock. But when I use Distress Oxides, I'm able to get a really beautiful blend. I'm going to work to get a pretty seamless blend here between my three colors, kind of going back and forth between all three, deepening and darkening those colors until I'm very happy with it. Then I want to spritz this with water from a distress sprayer and then blot it dry with a paper towel. I like to do this pretty quickly. I've used Post-it tape to mask off the edges. However, the water will go through those if left in place too long. You can see the water instantly oxidizes, which really lends itself well to an underwater ocean scene. Once I have my water kind of blotted up, I'm going to quickly grab the Honeybee Stamps Ocean Scene Builder Rays. And this is one of my favorite things to do, is to create some rays coming down through the water. Underwater scenes are some of my very favorites. I thought it would be really fun today to show how well the Honeybee Mermaid, and I think I'm also using the little letter in a bottle from that set, works with the Heffy Doodle Oceans of Love, which we've got the stingray, the starfish, some underwater, other little underwater like coral and things, and the turtle. So you can mix and match from the different manufacturers. I'm applying Lawn Fawn white pigment ink through this rays stencil, and it's going to just kind of lighten up these areas. I like to go over it then after I remove my stencil to lighten it even more. And then I can remove my masks. When I remove those, you're going to see that I instantly have this fantastic little white border, which is going to complement all of my die cut images, which also will have the white outline since I'm using the coordinating dies today. Let's grab all of the images we're going to use for our card. I did start with almost everything that I ended up using. However, I decided as I was putting my card together that I needed a few extra little embellishments with the hearts from the Heffy Doodle Oceans of Love set. So you'll see me add those later on in the video. We're using the mermaid and the bottle from the Honeybee Stamps Swimming By stamp set, and the stingray, starfish, turtle, fossil, rocks, and hearts from the Heffy Doodle Oceans of Love stamp set. I'm stamping these with Hero Arts Intense Black ink. This is a fantastic ink for Copic coloring. I'm going to speed through the coloring, but I've left the entire process in. Lots of coloring for this card, but it really makes it shine. This mermaid is probably my favorite from the Honeybee Stamps collection. They came out with several here a year maybe ago. And I love the mermaids, but this is definitely my favorite. I think she's so, so pretty and really fun to color. I've added the skin tone first, some R20 for the cheeks, and then I'm going to skip over to my turtle, which is colored with some green markers. G00, 02, and 17 are what I started with. For the shell, to lighten it up just a tiny bit, I pulled in G000, and again, R20 for the cheeks on this cute little guy. There is another option for a turtle. In the Swimming By stamp set that this mermaid comes from, there is also the awesome little turtle in this. So you could definitely use whatever you want. This one from Heffy Doodle is just a tiny bit smaller. I think he's super, super sweet. And if you didn't know, and your recipient more than likely won't, they won't realize that you have pulled stamps from different companies to work together. That's the magic of card making and paper crafting, is taking those supplies that we have in our stash and mixing and matching them and using them with our style to create fantastic cards that we can send to those that we love. The mermaid tail is some blue-green colors, 45, 49, and 18. And then her top is going to be some red violets with red violet 52, 55, 66, and 69. I purposely left the hair for last. I couldn't decide what direction I wanted to go with, and I kind of thought the rest of my card might dictate the color choices I pick for her hair. With mermaids, I tend to like to go kind of crazy and colorful, but I didn't know if I wanted to today. And so I thought, let's color in everything else. So I got my rocks in a nice neutral, some cool grays for the stingray. We'll do some yellow reds, kind of ends up being kind of yellow orange for the starfish. We'll color in the rest of the little images we're going to use along the bottom edge of our design. And then I will decide what color I want to do for the hair. Because at this point, I really thought, well, maybe I'll just do, a regular hair color. But as I got to that point in my coloring, I realized that I thought it would be really nice to pull that blue violet from the Blueprint Sketch Distress Oxide ink that we've used in the bottom of the scene up into the hair. So I kind of chose that after I had gotten some of the rest of these images colored. I did know what color I was going to do my fossil or the seaweed and stuff like that. And I thought that little pop of blue violet will really just kind of tie it all together. And in the finished card, you'll see that that really ties in nicely with the bottom of the card. I started just with the blue violets, so BV000, 13, and 17. And then I thought it would be fun to do some blue streaks in her hair with blue-green 49. So some of those little strips in her hair are going to have that color in them. We will go over those in a little bit when we're doing finishing details with a white pen. And then we're going to finish the whole thing off with some sparkle, because what is a mermaid without some sparkle? I'm a big fan of sparkle for my mermaids. And I think that little thing alone makes the hair completely pop. So I'm really excited to show you that. Again, some red violets. I'm pretty much repurposing colors I already have out on my table at this point. I'm a big fan also of not going and pulling out loads of new colors. After the main image is colored, I usually will kind of see what I have. If I need to, of course, definitely go grab additional colors, but a lot of times I just try to repurpose. So I needed some more pink, so that's a great for the kind of waving seaweed type thing. The hearts are going to be pink. I think the pink kind of helps round it all out. It's a very blue and green heavy card, and so those pops of pink really shine. And the bottle, I did grab some different blue greens, very, very light ones, to give the bottle that look of see-through, and added a little gray for the scroll inside. Just laying my images out after I die cut them with the coordinating Swimming By and Oceans of Love dies, I'm going to take the bubbles from the Swimming By stamp set and stamp those with black ink on my background. I also want to take a black pen and add detail to eyes. That always makes them pop. If you guys already follow me, you know that I always do that. I also like to add some little highlights, although this is going to be pretty minimal today. Mostly white dots for cheeks, white dots in the mermaid's hair, white dots on the mermaid tail. We are going to cover the tail completely in sparkle in Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard, which is a clear, iridescent, sparkly Nuvo Crystal Drop. So it's going to go on and it'll look a little bit milky, but it dries completely clear, but it's an iridescent sparkle once dry, which I think is fantastic for this. So you will see those white dots underneath. I like to put those underneath this product because it's a glitter. A lot of times if I'm covering something in glossy accents, I will wait and do the white dots on top of the glossy accents because it'll show up a little bit better. But in this case, it's really hard to add those white dots on top of a chunky glitter type of product. Here are those white dots in her hair. I really sort of followed the blue streaks for the most part. I kind of think they're a fun little addition. I also do this a lot with my mermaids. For whatever reason, I just kind of like that look. And then we are getting close to being ready to just kind of start putting it all together. This is always my favorite part of the card creation process, when we get to the point that we can start adhering everything to the background and making that scene come to life. I am going to stamp my sentiments for the card. Now, this is not the actual color of cardstock I ended up using. I stamped it twice. This is a blue-violet cardstock from Simon Says Stamp, and I like it, and it probably would have been fine. It definitely ties into the blueprint sketch. But where I'm adhering my strips to the card, it's a little bit bluer. It's the Mermaid, Lagoon to Broken China area of the card. And I switched it out and actually stamped this again on Simon Says Stamp Island Blue cardstock. And I liked it better for this card. Stamping these phrases from the Heffy Doodle Oceans of Love stamp set. So it's going to read, I've got something to say, ... you are a little ray of sunshine. And that really coordinates and complements the rays coming down through the water that we stenciled, and of course the stingray. And then the something obviously alludes to the fact of the mermaid with her fin and things like that. So cute little play on words, very punny. You can definitely mix and match between the two companies as far as sentiments, because there are things that'll work for either one. Really, really cute and fun. I am attaching not only my sentiments, those are going to be adhered with foam adhesive strips, but my images on my card, for the most part, with foam adhesive. This is going to instantly add depth and dimension. The only images on my card not adhered with foam adhesive are going to be the 3 hearts that I add here in a second, the rocks, and the bottle. And that's simply to give a little more of that illusion of depth and dimension, but you could adhere all of them with foam adhesive. You could adhere nothing with foam adhesive. It's really just a personal preference. With this card being basically one layer and then adding the layers of sentiments and images, it's not going to add a ton of bulk. This is still a very fairly flat card. I'm using a combination of foam adhesive. The strips are from Doris, I think that's how you say it, and then scrapbook adhesives, which are the squares, the small and the large. These are really low profile foam adhesive, and I absolutely love them for adhering anything to my cards. If you see me adding images or strips to cards, this is what I'm using probably 99% of the time. I really love them because while they do add that dimension to your design, it's not going to be so super high that it's going to make your card bulky and hard to mail. And that's a big thing for me. I really enjoy being able to easily mail out a card, so I don't want it to be super bulky, but I still want it to have that awesome dimension that we all love. So finding ways to create that with stencils, with foam adhesive, with our inking and layering and things like that, it's always a really fun kind of challenge. I'm filling in my bubbles with Nuvo Crystal Drops in Gloss White. That's really going to make those shine and show up. And of course, here is the Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard for the mermaid tail. Now for most of it, I covered it completely, but for the fins, I just kind of streaked it out just a little bit. So I didn't cover the whole thing, and you're going to see me do the same for her hair so that it's not covered completely. I even added this to my starfish, so he's sparkly. I thought that would be a fun little touch. And then of course we've got our little hearts here. And these, instead of adding sparkle, I'm going to add glossy accents so they will be glossy and they'll have a little bit more presence to them, show up a little bit more. I started with these 2 hearts and I thought that the bottom half of my card looked really bottom heavy. And so I will add 1 more small heart up near the top, and that's going to provide a beautiful visual triangle in the design as well. So from a layout type of standpoint, that creates our beautiful visual triangle and just kind of makes it a more cohesive design. Added a few more bubbles. We'll fill those in with Nuvo Crystal Drops in Gloss White as well. In fact, we're going to add that little trio up there and then another one down near the bottom, down near the turtle. These, all the bubbles I'm using, there are bubbles in both the Heffy Doodle set and in the honeybee set that I'm using. I use the honeybee ones. It's really personal preference or whatever you want to use there. And I'm trying to find the perfect place for this bottle. We had quite an argument. We could not decide where we should go on this card. I didn't really want it to be 2 embellishments, 2 images on each side on the bottom. I like it to be an odd number. So I ended up going over on the right side, and it's going to be tucked clear to the right, kind of behind the seaweed. And I will cover the bottle with glossy accents as well. So glossy accents on the hearts, the bottle, and the turtle shell. That'll give it a nice little glossy finish as well. I even think, I didn't do it, I considered it, and then I didn't get around to it. I thought the stingray might be fun with glossy accents as well. They're kind of, they are slick, and I thought that would be kind of cute to go over it with glossy accents, but I didn't do it for this particular card design. So here's my glossy accents for the hearts, the turtle shell. Let's just go and add our last few finishing details. That Nuvo Crystal Drops in White Blizzard. I'm going to start kind of at the part in her hair. That's where I want to concentrate this. And you can see I'm just kind of pulling it out so it lightens up. And I'll just do this until I get it to look like I want. So as I mentioned earlier, it's not completely covered, but it still all looks sparkly. And I'm just kind of pulling it out with the tip of my nozzle. You could use a straight pin or something to kind of move that around a little bit if you need to. We'll pop this on a top fold card base, and my card featuring the collaboration between Heffy Doodle and Honeybee Stamps is all finished. Thanks for joining me today for this underwater ocean mermaid scene card. The supplies I used are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more cards that you might be interested in. Please subscribe for weekly card making and stamping videos. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.